Greetings all you whiskey tasters out there. This is Mark from Whiskey Whistle bringing you whiskey review number 39. Hope you've been well. Glad you're back. If you're new to Whiskey Whistle, thank you for tuning in. And if you do like what you see, I do hope you will subscribe. If you're wondering how to do that, you can click a little button down there in the corner and you'll automatically subscribe by doing so. Now, today, what are we going to be looking at? We're looking at Dalwhinnie. Dalwhinnie is a Highland malt from Scotland, so a Scottish Highland malt, and it's part of Diageo, that's the global whiskey and beverage conglomerate, part of their series called the Classic Malts. And in the pictures that are rolling through, you will see a little box that contains all of those. Maybe I'll just mention those very quickly. They are Talisker from the Isle of Skye, Lagavulin from the Isle of Islay, Oban from the West Highland region, western part of the Highland region, Dalwhinnie, which we're looking at today, from Highland, Cragganmore from Speyside, and last but not least, Glenkinchie from the Lowland region. Okay. Anyway, so Dalwhinnie today, the 15-year-old. This is the bottle that's included in the Classic Malts sets and is promoted as such. So it should be fairly readily available no matter where you are in the world, as they are kind of pushed all together by Diageo, formerly known as United Distillers, who created the Classic Malt sort of package of 6 malts from the 6 regions of Scotland back in 1988, I believe. Okay, so Dalwhinnie, 15-year-old. This one is bottled at 43% ABV. And, well, we're going to get right started and pour that. This is known as the Gentle Spirit, by the way. So let's get that open. And we'll pour a nice, healthy dram of Dalwhinnie. Oh yes, that's good. That's very good. I do like that. Okay. Get that nice and straight. Okay, now we're going to have to let that sit a little while. As it's 15 years old, the going saying is a minute in the glass for every year in the cask. So 15 years, 15 minutes. I probably won't wait that long, but let's let that settle a little bit, okay? Fairly classic box. They have a very interesting crest, which you can see on the top of the box. So hopefully you can see that one. And well, just a little bit about the distillery. Founded in 1898. There's an interesting story there. And I'll read the front of the box here. From the highest distillery in Scotland, set in the windswept Grampian Mountains, with their unlimited supply of fresh spring water, comes this delightfully gentle, delicately smoky malt. Dalwhinnie Highland Single Malt Scotch Whisky, 15 years old, bottled in Scotland. Okay. Some water that spilled. Oops. Nothing to wipe it with. Oh dear. Okay, well, the show must go on. Mustn't it? Okay. Well, it's just water. It won't kill the box. Okay. Well, let's get into the nosing, and then I'll wait a little bit longer before I taste this one. Okay, and before we talk about that, there will be a very short advertisement right about now. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too annoying. The advertisements that you find here on Whiskey Whistle will help me, Mark, source and purchase single malts so that I can continue to review them. What I'd like to do is to be able to get some of the newer expressions as they come out, so that I can inform my subscribers and also the people such as yourselves who had just happened to come across WhiskyWhistle to find out something new about an interesting new product on the market. And I don't cover only single malts. A couple of reviews ago, I did an Irish single malt. Well, it's single malt, but it's from Ireland. I have also done some bourbon and a liqueur, and I'm hoping to do some other spirits and different sorts of liqueurs as well. So hopefully you'll stay tuned for that. Someone did want me to do a beer, so that may happen at some point, but in the immediate future, I don't see that coming in the next month or two. So stay tuned for possibly beer. And there will be some other interesting videos coming, which will be about the distillation of single malt. What can I call that? Grain spirit. Single malt spirit. Okay. All right. Anyway, so on the nose, there is a gentle bit of peat. And a very interesting, very fresh mixture of apples and lemons. Quite nice. Now, what else had I written there? I wrote that it was fresh. And for the Koreans who are watching, you may like this because there is sort of a very nice craft soju, sort of a fragrance coming through there, like Hwayo or perhaps from Andong soju, the 40% ABV or higher pure rice soju that you can find, especially now right around Lunar New Year. Okay, so a bit of soju. And there's something herbal in there as well. And it's minty, a little bit minty, but there's something else in there. And I've smelled it before, and it's not bay leaf, it's not tarragon or any of the popular, Italian sort of spices. Rosemary? Something akin to rosemary, but not exactly rosemary itself. Looks like I need to do more cooking. Okay, so that is the nose. Okay, and I'm going to leave that for just a couple of more minutes, and let's talk about the history of Dalwhinnie. This was, I forgot to write down the name of the founder. Well, isn't that just like me? Founded in 1898, however, that's as Dalwhinnie. However, in the late 1890s, it was known as Strathspey, and it was located in the town of the same name. And so that's interesting. So Strathspey, and then it became Dalwhinnie. Well, here it says one of the highest distilleries. On the box here, it does say the highest, so we'll leave it at that, the highest distillery in Scotland. And 1898, so it was sold to A.P. Blythe, and it was named Dalwhinnie by, I believe, his son. 1905, quite interesting, was bought by Cook and Bernheimer from USA. And this was the first U.S. investment in the Scotch whisky industry. 1920, Lord James Calder, which then went to Distillers Corporation, Distillers Company, and then on to James Buchanan. And I think there it was mainly used for blending. Fast forward to 1934. There was a fire and it was closed for about 3 years. And in 1938 it reopened, but it ended up closing due to World War II. and reopened 1947. And then it would have eventually gotten into the hands of United Distillers, which combined with Guinness and another company whose name I forget to form Diageo. So interesting history. Pretty cool name, Dalwhinnie. Strathspey would have been nice as well. Well, maybe they should offer Strathspey, maybe a peated version. Okay. All right, so let's taste that neat now, shall we? Yeah, no change in the nose. Okay, so, oh dear, now I've forgotten his name as well. It is gone. But the master distiller, you see him rolling around on the screen there. No, I did not write that down, my goodness. It's got a Mac in there. Mackenzie, I believe. Okay, well, we'll just carry on. Thank you very much to Dalwhinnie for this wonderful spirit and keeping the age statement of 15 years. I know that must be difficult to maintain your stocks, so that's fantastic that you've done that. Thank you very much. And to all you watching, cheers to you as well. Now, what about Dalwhinnie? This is more sweet than sour, slightly salty. There's a savory sweetness to it. So that herbal, savory flavors come through in the palate. And the fruit on the palate is a little more citrusy, orange I've written here, and a bit of caraway as well. Interesting. The finish is quite long, so let me taste that one more time. So you've got a base of malt. There is a smoky sweetness to it. Not a really strong smokiness, but this is very, very much the undercurrent. Orange continues on into the finish. Quite potent and very long lasting. Wonderful. Okay, now we're going to add a little bit of water. I've got a healthy amount there. That's roughly 30 milliliters. I will add 1 tablespoon, 5 milliliters. There we go. And we'll roll that around a little bit. Now, what are we looking at on the screen there? That is the Spirit Safe. Quite complicated, but when the new make, that's what they call the white spirit coming from the stills, when that comes out, they don't just use all of it, especially after the second distillation. So it goes through 2 distillations. So the second distillation, whatever comes out, they don't just throw that in the bottle. And what's coming from that still is not just, something called alcohol. There are many different kinds of alcohol. I believe it is ethyl alcohol. This is the one that we think of as edible, potable. But there are a host of other sorts of chemicals. Some of them are alcohol, some of them are esters that give it the smell. and there's phenols and I mean, I'm no chemist, but there's really just this big mix of things that are coming through there, and each has a particular boiling point. So as the temperature rises in the still, these different elements become gaseous and float up in the still, where they cool and come out. And anyway, they definitely do not put all of that in, because the very beginning tends to be tends to have something that's a little bit, first of all, a little bit inedible, almost poisonous, and secondly, really doesn't smell good at all. So they're very careful when they know how much alcohol is coming through. They really do know. They know the ABV of the fermented mash. They know the ABV coming out of the first still. They test it. They know the volume they're putting in the second still. So they really do know how much, how many liters of alcohol are in that still, and then they can go through and cut it. So okay, here's the first so much. We're going to get rid of that, and then somewhere in the middle, they get something that is kind of like the cream of the crop, and I believe that is called the heart. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just learning myself, but I'm a quick study. Okay, so enough chat. Let's talk about the taste here with water. There will be one more short advertisement right now. Okay, so cheers again. Yes, you know what I forgot? We'll do this backwards. I forgot to talk about the nose with water. Now, with water on the palate, what I've written here, and hits me again and again, with a little bit of water, I find this hits the absolute perfect balance of sweet and sour. So quite incredible, full of fruits, citrus fruits, and the sourness is coming through there. So it's kind of like that orange, the oranges that you get at the peak of the season. They're not overly sweet. They're not really sour. They don't make you tear up, but they just make you want to eat more and more of those oranges, and that's kind of what the flavor is like. Very well balanced. A little bit malty, some barley malt, of course, but a slight bit of grain, and the finish here adds a hint of vanilla in the finish, and a little bit of musk, so that kind of perfumey, powerful scent often used in perfume. Now, forgot the nose, so we'll go back to the nose here. With water, you'll get a little bit of vanilla coming through, and a little bit less of the herbal notes. Not a big change, but just a little bit of vanilla added, and that, I would say, is it an improvement? It's just different, and it's nice. The palate, the taste of this with water, I think is simply to die for. And you would be doing yourself a disservice if you do not try Dalwhinnie with a touch, excuse me, oh my goodness, a touch of water. So please do that. The finish as well. It's also got a little bit of dryness all throughout. Very lovely. And you know, when I first bought this bottle, I wasn't really I wasn't so thrilled with it. But I'm quite enjoying it, and I can say I would definitely buy another bottle of this. Dalwhinnie here in Korea, I think this was roughly, I want to say in the upper 80s, like 87 or 88,000 won. I think it's pretty reasonable wherever you are, especially if you're in USA. You're going to be getting this for a very, very reasonable price, especially given that it is 15 years old and also 43% ABV. Okay, now it is chill filtered and perhaps a little bit of color added, but not so much. It's not really a dark orange color like some of the basic blended scotches. Looking at the glass, there's a little bit of beading going on there, so not overly heavy chill filtration is happening there. So anyway, great value for money. Okay, so what is the WhiskyWhistle scorer for Dalwhinnie 15-year-old? It's going to be 88 out of 100. And comment, well, I think this is something that if you have gotten into single malt whiskey recently, perhaps with some of the Glens or the Macs, and you think, okay, I've tried these, I know what these are, I think I really like single malt Scotch whiskey. Let's go for something new. I think the Classic Malt series well, all of them, I can't say that you should say, oh, only get this one or only get that one. Go out and get the set if you can. If it's sold in a group, even better. You'll save a little bit of money and be able to try them all. Or perhaps with some buddies of yours, put together a few dollars and just go out and buy them all at once. And you'll have a set of 6, and that'll last you quite a long time if it's by yourself. In a group, you can probably stretch that out over a good few meetings of your whiskey club, or a good few nights with your chums. Okay, so 88 out of 100. Pardon me, 88 out of 100 for Dalwhinnie 15-year-old. My name is Mark. You're watching Whiskey Whistle. Thank you for tuning in, and I do hope you'll come again.